Today is speak about our educational failure, and it has been like that for a long, long time. The only thing I can really say about something like that, without education, our students, the young people, our children, they're all ours. Their future basically is non-existent. It's a perfect example. Just look around the world at the system of countries that have nothing, that do not teach properly. And you'll see what actually occurred to a country. They fall into total disarray. Today, unfortunately, in the last few years, the system of teaching has turned into what I call a furball of politics. Their teaching is no longer part of the issue. The only time you ever hear of some educational system is when the teachers' unions go on strike because they didn't like this or they didn't like that. The question I really ask is that, do the teachers prefer the idea of their labor union, who actually makes big benefits on this, because teachers, I guess, it's mandatory to pay them for the benefit of teaching. Now, I ask myself, did the unions pay teachers to go to school, to the high education that they attire? I don't believe so. And the people that are in control of this, what actually did they do before they came on the scene? See, years ago, teachers taught us what I call the use of books. And what that meant then was that the advantage of what do books do for us? What's the purpose of a book? Well, in those days, years ago, a book, you see them around, but you didn't really know much what was going on in the book. So the teacher gave you the use of the book by explaining how the book is the beginning of your knowledge. It was written by knowledgeable people, and they planned on doing the best they could for all the students, and that is to write a book on the subject they love dearly. And some of those classes that they attended when they were younger, they probably didn't have the same books, but they had similar books that was taught and written by someone far back in our time. Mathematics have not really changed that drastically over the years. We're still dealing with the science that Newton gave us, who just on an off day decided to sit outside in a nice afternoon and set up a whole new mathematical formula called calculus. Oh boy, that's something. What do you do in your off time? Just sit under a tree, and you plan on doing that too? Wonderful, isn't it? And then we have other people that went to school, and they also read books on many, many things that they wanted to learn. They wanted the knowledge of the past. Remember, all knowledge comes from our past. It doesn't come from our future. Our future is what's out there, and there are books that explain basically what they believe the future lies for us all. But it's not always the case, but some of it is. So, teachers showed me where to go to find books. It was called a library. Now, I wonder how many students spend time in the library willingly going there to learn knowledge. Because when you walk in there, that room is full of knowledge. And the only thing holding you back from knowledge is your unwillingness to learn. No more than that. The teacher really doesn't have to be there in a sense anymore. We've had some great men over our history of our lifetime in the United States that never went to school. But they became great because they had access to books, knowledge. They all go together. So the books you have, I was received, became a guide to learning. Where do you go to find knowledge? Books, libraries. I did have I didn't have very many what I call great teachers. Most of them were just, okay, but mostly I was kicked out of their class constantly because I continually my whole life at always trying to search for some knowledge of one form or another. So, and I kept asking the question why and why not. And teachers really don't particularly like that often if you do it all the time. And I did it pretty much all the time. So I was sent to the principal's office, and then later on he got tired of seeing me, and then he sent me to the library. And when I saw that library for the first time when I was a very, very little boy, I thought this is where knowledge is available for all of us, and I mean all of us. You can learn anything you want to think of doing, anything you would like to consider doing. You can get it right in their library. But you have to have the desire. You just can't be lay down with the book for your pillow and expect to absorb it. It won't happen that way. You have to spend your time to do that. And that's something I find most people are not willing to do, to learn knowledge. I want it on the spot, now, and that's not the way things are. You have to sacrifice to do those things. But the idea of America is that it's open to everyone. You can do anything you wish, and you can attain anything your height of whatever you desire, as long as you spend the time and you have the ability to do it. There's no other limitation, none, other than your own limitations. And when you stop yourself from doing it, then you are the one who's to blame for not wishing to go further into what you want to do. Today, Washington runs and totally controls our educational system. Now, isn't that a great thing? Washington controls our system, and that means the District of Columbia has one of the worst classes and teachers and students in the world. Now, how can that possibly be when the so-called brilliant people, the masters of the mind, are a short distance away, called Washington, D.C.? Why is it they don't look into those things? Well, someone did. Someone was looking into doing that. I think she went into a woman who was a counselor or something. She wanted to go to New York, I believe it was. She was super smart, this woman. And she wanted to fix this out, and she did. She eliminated a whole bunch of schools, found a lot of delinquent teachers, which were worthless people. They're incomprehensive, but just cannot understand what these people are all about. And everybody was running around yelling and screaming that she shouldn't have done that. The greatest yellers and screamers were the unions, who backed up every single person, that they were the great and they did this and basically these are all words, and these words are meaningless to anyone and everyone, because what students need is more than words. Words are cheap, dime a dozen. They want, really what we want is action, deeds. Remember in Missouri, they had an old saying, it was called, Missouri's a show-me state. Yeah, great motto. I want the union to stop talking about education and do something. That's enough for the moment, and I'll be continuing this on the total failure of our educational system, and we will continue that on the part 2 that will be following this short 10-minute blip. Thank you very much for listening to me.